And hello. Good evening. Happy New Week, y'all. That's right. It is Sunday, and we're getting to the new week. This is Dr. Dwayne Wood, y'all, and I am just doing a quick check-in. Had some interesting things happen this weekend, and hopefully you had a safe weekend and ready for the new week that's coming up. And we're looking forward to an amazing show tomorrow where we're going to talk about diabetes medications. Remember, we are in the throes of our series, New Year, New You, and we're talking about tomorrow medications that you may want to consider. That's right. We've been talking about getting off of medication, putting diabetes in remission, but tomorrow we're going to talk about medications you may want to consider as we move in that direction. But tonight on this show, I want to do a quick check-in because I had something happen to me today. As you know, I finished my fast, 72-hour fast on Friday evening about 6:45. If you have not done so, go back and watch that show. And went into the rest of Friday evening, Saturday, and we'll show some blood sugars there. But today, I had a blood sugar of 246. That's right. You saw it on the probably on the flyer, on the thumbnail. 246 was my blood sugar. And right now, as we normally do, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you what my numbers are right now. I'm going to pull out my glucose meter, and we're going to take a look at that. But I'll tell you the story about how that 246 came about. Let me pull that up here really quickly. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, right there. 246 was the. Actually, let me do it a little differently. Hold on a second. I've got a new little scene that I created just for you guys. Let's see if I can get it. 246 right there. Okay, let's take a look at this one. All right, so I got my glucose meter right here, so we're going to be taking a look at that there in just a minute, and also checking our ketones, right? Because right now, and I'll show you what my blood sugar is right now according to the monitor, but that was the 246 that we had earlier today. So what happened, y'all? So my sister was visiting me. Right, so whenever a story starts like that, it's going to be an interesting story. My sister was visiting me, and so last night we stayed up, and my sister is an amazing cook. So she came in, and it was a short trip, y'all. She came in, we went to the grocery store, we picked up all the stuff we wanted to cook, and we came home last night, and we stayed up cooking throughout the night. Now, here's the thing, right? So, and I'll show you that blood sugar as well. As we were eating, not a big deal, relatively speaking. Okay. But today I was dropping her to the airport, and on the way, there was something she wanted, and we didn't stop there, but she said, "Hey, let's stop off." And there was this store right on the way to the airport. I think it was the last thing. And she said, "Hey, let's get something." And I wasn't planning to eat, but since she was there getting something, I said, "Hey, I'm going to get it too. I'm going to get something too." And so I got, and as we drove, I was just eating. And so that's where the 246 blood sugar came from. Now, what I'll show you here in a minute is that, and I'll tell you what I usually look for and what I tell patients to look for as they are looking at blood sugars. But let me hop over and let's take a look at where my blood sugars are currently. All right, so this is the Dexcom. So Dexcom says I am at 112, and my Libre says I'm at 105. And so the Libre and the Dexcom have some differences that they will show. And then I'm going to go over and I'm going to check my blood sugar here with my monitor and also look at where my ketones are. Now, what I didn't do is at the time when I had the 246, I did not check my ketones. That would have been a good thing to do at the time, but my monitor, I think, was in the car, and I couldn't actually find it. Right, because I have these glucose monitors on, these CGMs, and so I couldn't find this one, and search and search, and finally I found it. But yeah, so I should have been able to get a number at the time. And then we'll talk, before we do that, I want to hop over and take a look at some of these reports. I think let's take a look at the Libre first. And I want to really scroll down. And so this number, let me turn my mouse back on so I could highlight those for you. So right here, right, is where that 246 was. And right now, the Libre doesn't show a number with this. That's why I wanted to do the Dexcom report. But you can see this line that's going straight across here. That's 250. Right? And so this is right close to 250. So that's the 246. And that was right at, let's see, what time was that? Yeah, I don't know, maybe a little after 3. And we'll see more detail when we get to the other report. So let's scroll down and take a look at where that is. Right down here. Okay, here we are. Oops. All right, so let's see. So Friday, and remember I changed my CGM Friday evening, so that's why there's this gap right here. Okay, so this is where it started, and so I broke my fast right around that time. And so you guys remember what I ate. So I had some beans, and I had broth, and I had some nuts. And you'll see that almost, I shouldn't say immediately, that blood sugar started rising, and it got up right about 120, so a little bit above 120, right in there. And then came back down below 120 and stayed below 120. And here is that morning, right? Because I didn't eat breakfast that morning. So remember that rise, that dawn phenomenon. So you see that rise again. And then throughout the day, and then kind of dropped back below 70. And then I didn't eat lunch until right around here. And right at lunch, after lunch, it started going up a little bit. And then came down, straddled 120. And so we kind of stayed 120, 120, and so forth, right? Into the rest of the evening. Well, so here, and we were up late. When I say late, we were up late cooking. So we're still cooking and right there and eating, actually right in that area. And you'll see there's a little blip right here. And that one, I don't know what that number is, but we'll once again be able to see what it is. And it came right back down and kind of still straddled 120, right? And then in the morning, so in the morning I didn't eat anything. So there's that dawn phenomenon again, right? So right around 6 o'clock, right after 6. And it kind of stayed up, right? Now this, what you're seeing right here, this is a remainder from last night plus, I put a plus right there, plus what happened in the dawn phenomenon. Okay, so whatever I ate plus the dawn phenomenon is what gave, and let me take this up, that's what gave this part of the graph. Okay, so I still haven't eaten anything since around here. Okay, so that's the whole next day. And then right around here, my sister, I was dropping her off. And actually, let's see, what time did we get there? I dropped her off right around here. So we were driving to the airport in here, and in the drive I was eating, and then okay, and then back down. So let's take a look at the Dexcom, because the Dexcom we can actually see some numbers. So let's back up, and this is now Friday. All right, so broke the fast right in here. Let's see, 6:45. Actually, a little after, right? Because I was talking to you guys. I probably didn't start eating until about 7. It's right in here. So started eating and eating. And there's the soup. So you got the beans and the broth. And so up to about 120. So that's that night. Now moving into Saturday. And we're down and right around here. That's that dawn phenomenon again. Right? Notice that. And so we are 120s. Still haven't eaten. Blood sugars go down. And then eat lunch with the family. And blood sugars rise up to 130s. Actually got up to about 146 right there. Right? And then came back down. Sister comes in. And we're cooking and eating. And then right there we peak and we go up to about 194, y'all. Look at that. And see, what did I have? She made some curry. And I had about a tablespoon and a half of some rice, and I think that was it. What did I have? What else? And then the blood sugars come back down. Boom, 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 boom. And this the rest of the day, and we're just right about 150, 140. So once again, this part right here is a result of the stuff I ate the night before. And then right here on the way to the airport, and then boom, 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 up to the 246. So that's right around 315-ish, right? 314. That's the peak. And then it starts to drop back down. Okay. Now, well, let me finish walking through this, and then I'll tell you some important points, some important things. Okay. All right. So you're asking yourself, I know you are, well, what did you actually eat? Well, I might as well just go ahead and show you. Let's see where. And you should see that coming up here in just a minute, I hope. Well, let me hop over to this screen and then. And it looks like my little twirly thing is going. That's why I have somebody said to me once, he said, if you want to show something, don't do it. Make sure you get a copy of it. Because in the middle of the stream, guess what, y'all? Yeah, there it is. Okay. So let me hop over and do something else while that's coming up. All right. So let's go over and let's while we wait for that, let's go over and I'm going to check my blood sugar with my monitor. Okay. So let's go ahead. Let's pull that over. All right. So why don't we start with the glucose, right? So glucose. And as we do, right, we're going to get a drop of blood. Move that off to the side. Going to massage that drop. And get that onto the monitor. And 103, right? And so actually, let me do this. Yeah, there you go. So 103, right? So exactly what the Libre is showing right now. And here's our ketone. What do you think the ketones are going to be? What do you think they're going to be? I don't know. Maybe 0.8, if that much. 0.6. Okay. So not bad. Not bad. I was pretty close. And while that is doing, right, so 0.6, and let me hop over to my app. And as you know, the app is going to go ahead and pull in the data. go ahead and pull the data in. And so we've got a 9.5 for my glucose ketone index. And if you look at the graph, all right, so look at that. You see, so the ketones, remember we talked about the fact that as the blood sugars go up, insulin goes up, and as the insulin goes up, the ketones go down. Okay, so let's see, what time was that? So that was that was yesterday, last evening, or Friday evening, right? And that was Saturday morning, because I checked those Saturday morning. As I said, I didn't check this morning because I didn't have my glucose monitor with me. But that's where we were yesterday morning. And then, of course, the ketones and the glucose switched, or they changed right after, right? So they crossed right before that. And then now, of course, glucose is 103. And what do you think the body's burning now, right? So the body is now burning sugar, right? So it's not burning ketones anymore, or not much ketones, because I still have, 0.6, that's what we said. We still have 0.6 there in terms of the ketones, and the glucose is 103, right? So a couple of points that I wanted to make there, but before I do that, okay, I think this is gonna do what we want now. Yeah, I know I could just tell you, but I don't want to just tell you. I want you to actually see it. I know. Let's see. I'll grab this. And okay, I guess. All right. So what we did was we drove by, and I'm from New York, as I mentioned, and one of the big things that we had in New York was we had White Castle, right? So there's not a White Castle, well, actually I think there is one. I don't know where it is, but the closest thing that we had was Krystals, and so we stopped off and got some Krystals. And on the way to the airport, I ate 2 Krystals. And I want to show you. Okay, so I'm on their website now. So let's go ahead and do that while I pull it up. So I'm going to look at the nutritional information down here at the bottom. Let me change that screen. Kind of blow it up. So that was breakfast, and okay, so here we are. So these are the columns across the top. So calories, total fat, saturated fat, cholesterol, sodium, total carbohydrates, because that's one of the ones we were going to be interested in, right? So here's carbs, here's dietary fiber, and sugar. So these last, and then protein is at the end. So we're going to look at these last 4 columns, right? So these 4 columns back here, last 4. So if we scroll down, and we're going to find the cheese crystals, because that's what I had, cheese crystals there. We go all the way to the last 4, so 14 grams of carbs per crystal, 1 gram of fiber, 1 gram of sugar, and 8 grams of protein. Right, so 14. So if I ate 2 of those, that's 28 grams of carbs and 2 grams of fiber. And if we do the math, if we're going to consider the fiber, we can. So 2 grams of fiber from 28 gives us a total of 26. Okay, so 26 grams of carbs. Actually, and then the sugar, right? So there was, what did I say? So 2 grams of sugar in there. So actually back up to 28. Okay. And then let's see, where are the sides? Sides, here we go. Okay. So I also had fries, right? We kind of shared that. So I don't know, maybe 10, five fries. So it was a small one. So the serving, so if we divide that in half, so total carbs, we're talking about 10 plus no sugar minus 2 fiber gives us 8, right? So 28 plus 8 is 36. So 36 grams of carbs. 36 grams of carbs. And 36 grams of carbs gave us the blood sugar that we saw, 246. 36 grams of carbs. Okay. Now, here are some points that I want to make. So number one, if you looked at my graphs, right, and those, I had to close those out. Let me pop those up again. But if you look at the graphs that we saw, the blood sugar post fasting, right, regardless of what I ate, the blood sugar, I think the highest it got before this was up to about 146, I think is what we saw, right? We got up to 146. And let me, and that lasted, right? That next morning, we got up to 146. No, we got up to 194. Sorry, 194. That was after eating the night before. Into the next morning, the residual, right, the blood sugars came down, but as the dawn phenomenon happened, right, that's one of the points I wanted to make. As the dawn phenomenon happened, those hormones are being pumped into my body, right, to get me into the day. And the hormones go and they find energy from somewhere, right? Because the blood sugar is about 140, 110, 120. I think sometimes it was actually below 100, right? So, but straddling about 110, 115, 120. So the hormones are going to find energy. So they're using up the stuff that's in my body, but they're also breaking down some glycogen, right? Because at that point I had been not eating for about 6 hours, 5 to 6 hours. So digestion has already happened, right? Some of that stuff has gone into the liver. And so now when we're breaking down the glycogen, right, guess what happens? We get that spike. So the things that you eat have a direct influence on how big the dawn phenomenon is. Let me point that out. Let me say that. So not during the fasting stage, but during that initial 24 hours when we're breaking down that glycogen, right? The things that we eat have an effect on the dawn phenomenon. And if we're not fasting, right? If we haven't done that fasting and we've just been eating, that spike can be even bigger, right? So there are people who say, hey, I see my blood sugars go up to 200, 230, 240 simply from the dawn phenomenon. So that's the first point I wanted to make. The next point I wanted to make was, despite the stuff that I ate the night before, the blood sugars stayed relatively good post-fast. That's the beauty of the fast, that even post-fast, for the next day or so, next day or two, and sometimes 3, right? And I've shown that to you before. Depending on what we eat, the next 2-3 days, maybe even 4 days, you may not need to take any medication, depending on what you eat. Now, there are some folks that say, hey, well, you're just avoiding the carbohydrates, and that means that you're not fit, the body's not fixed. Well, here's the thing, right? The 4 days, that 3-4 days, whatever number of days your body, right, because each person is different. whatever your body allows you to do without medication, that doesn't mean that you can't have carbs. Right. So even as I was eating things that had carbs, my blood sugars went up and they came back down. They were straddling 120, and in some cases were way below 120. Right. But it wasn't until I stressed it with a big amount of carbs, right, that the blood sugars got up to 240, 246. Right. So once I stressed the system enough by pumping in enough carbs, and let me just talk about this first. Pumping up enough carbs, that's when the blood sugars took off. And I dare say, let me hasten to say, that had it not been refined carbs, the sugar probably would not have spiked as high as quickly. Okay, so that's another point I want to make, and then let me get this code in here so I can pull this up, because another amazing point that I want you to notice. Okay, so another point that I want you to notice. Let's see, I think I put that in correctly. There we go. All right, so let's hop back over to the, this is the Dexcom that we're going to look at. And let's look at today. All right. So heading to the airport eating, right? Blood sugar takes off, right? That's a big component of refined carbs, right? So that's why we say, hey, refined carbs. Had I eaten something that had more, even if it had the same number of carbs, had it been not refined, we may not have gotten as big a spike in the system. But one of the other beauty things, and there are 2 points here to be made. One, when we eat refined carbs, we get a big burst of insulin to respond. Right? So insulin comes out because it's almost like the refined carbs, because they get absorbed so quickly. It's almost like grinding up sugar and just put it in a vein. Well, not exactly, but you get the idea. It's readily available to the body. And so we get a big burst of insulin as a response. But I want you to also notice something, okay? In the past, prior to my fasting, prior to me learning and going through the fast and putting my body through using ketones and putting my body through burning fat and putting my body through the act of fasting, this blood sugar would have stayed higher for much longer. But look at this, y'all. So we started here, right? So that's about 180. And actually, I count anything above 140 is where I start counting for when I'm saying, hey, what did my blood sugar do? And if you want a rule of thumb, if your blood sugar is within 40 points of where you started, then whatever you have done is actually pretty good. Okay. Now this is for if you're a diabetic out there right now and you're treating and the blood sugars are high, A1C is high. That's what I tell folks, right? That's kind of the rule of thumb. As you get better, as the blood sugars improve, as we begin reversing and putting diabetes in remission, I don't want the blood sugars to spike that high. Right? So that's why this 240 is a very instructive number, right? So look at this. So I start counting right about here, right? 136, 140. So that's about 2 o'clock, right? 156, 154. And so the blood sugar spike, and it gets to its peak at 3:15, 3:14. Okay? It's about an hour plus, hour and 18 minutes. And then to get back down to about 140, we come all the way out here to, let's see, what's that? Maybe 4. Let's see, when did we get to 140? We got 145 and then 130. So maybe 5:15. Okay. So from what 2 o'clock to 5:15, so about 3 hours to 20 minutes. Okay, so 3 hours, and we usually tell people we want the blood sugars to be below 200 at 2 hours. And so for me, that would have been, let's see, 154, 254, 354. Let's see, where were we? At 354, we were right at 202. Okay, so pretty close. And then the blood sugar continues to drop. Now, all of this is without any medication. This is the body doing it on its own, right? In fact, all that you're seeing, let me go back, starting Tuesday. So all that you're seeing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, even up to now, that's on absolutely no medication. Well, I shouldn't say absolutely no medication. So we took medication last week, like last Sunday. Okay. But other than that, right, for this entire starting, so if we go back now, let's just do it. Let's see how many days is that. So let's go back. And we'll talk about medication. We'll continue to talk about that. So we're saying now, if I go back, so Sunday the 21st, right? So Sunday the 21st, and then let me scroll down here because I got to go back to the next page. And then Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday, right? So I was on more medication, a lot more medication than I currently am. So look at that. We're talking a week, y'all. 1 week. And everything that you're seeing is a result of that one medication and the fasting that I did Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Beautiful. I love it. That's why this is such a powerful tool for the management and the reversing of our diabetes, putting our diabetes in remission, being able to decrease our medication. So suppose, right? Suppose, and as I've said before, many of you, we're putting your diabetes in remission. We're getting you off medication. Some of you may not get off medication, but you're going to decrease your medication significantly. So right now, if you're taking insulin every day, taking multiple shots every day, taking a pill, one pill, 2 pills, 3 pills, whatever number of pills, and you're taking that every day, or you're taking it twice a week or once a week, whatever. Suppose you could take medication once a week and be done. Now, I'm not talking about taking a specific medication. I'm just talking about the mindset of where we're heading. So that is an amazing thing. So we're decreasing our cost. Right? You don't have to go out and buy that medication. We're decreasing the complications of the medication. I could not do on a daily basis what I do as a physician in the management of patients who have the diseases that I treat, right? I'm an endocrinologist. So I could not do what I need to do for the patient without medication. But all medications have side effects. So if we can decrease or eliminate some medication, that all the better. I love the medications for what they do and what they allow us to do. But let's get off the ones that we need to and the ones that we can. I shouldn't say we need to. Let's get off the ones that we can. And that's our push. So cost. We decrease the complications that come with some of the medications. We improve our health. Right? We improve our health. Where's my little graphic? And I love pulling this one up. Because you guys get to see, right? So I love this one. So you see them there. You see all the things right down there, right? So hypertension, hyperlipidemia, coronary artery disease, polycystic ovarian syndrome, right? Obesity, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, metabolic syndrome, and on and on and on. So all of those things. We decrease the insulin that we take. And we'll talk more about insulin on the show tomorrow night when we talk about which diabetes medication we should consider. But that's the beauty of this, of what we're doing. And you can do this. You're here. So my push to you, right? Remember our challenge. Our challenge is, and we're coming up on the end of the month. We're going to talk about it tomorrow night again. Work your way up so that you are able to fast for a 24-hour period. And the goal is going to be, so a 24-hour period, that's where you're working up to, fasting for 24-hour period. And we're going to give you the second part of that challenge come tomorrow, right, as we move into the new month. So make sure you do that. Anyway, so I really wanted to come on and point out some of those nuggets to you of what happened to me. Let me get rid of these colors. What happened today. But so I'm glad that you were here. If you have not done so, go back and look at some of the other shows that we've done. Remember, that's our theme. That's our goal for this year. Our goal is, how do we improve? How do we put diabetes in remission? What do we need to do? How do we get off of some of this medication that we find ourselves on that we don't need? Okay. Let me pull this up. So if you've not done so, go over and make sure you get over to the YouTube channel and pull this one. Yeah, there we go. Get over to the YouTube channel. That's the show that we're doing right now. We've done so many different check-ins, right? For the fasting that we've been doing. You'll see there at the top, what should I start these diabetes medications? That's what we're talking about tomorrow. That's the show for tomorrow. Make sure you stop by and hang out with us and hear that information. And we'll give you more and more about that. Okay, so we've been checking in with you. Last week we talked about which medications we should stop. Okay, we talked about breaking the fast. What do you do to break the fast? Can fasting rapidly lower your blood sugar? And you guys know the answer to that. Yes. Now the answer is yes. And what are the first steps? That was our very first show, the beginning of the month. What are our very first steps to be able to get healthier? So make sure that you go back and you talk about your why, you write those down, and we will talk more tomorrow on the show. So I look forward to seeing you 7 o'clock tomorrow night, 7 Central. We're going to be right here. Right, we're going to be talking again. How do we put our diabetes in remission? How do we get off of some of this diabetes medication? This is Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health, your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level and create the life you've always wanted. And here on the channel, y'all, new year, new you. Good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.